Hi, my name's Alex, also known as TheGamerLadtheThird, and in today's video we're going to talk about Freedoms Flame on Helldivers 2. First up, we're going to have a quick summary, and then if you want a detailed explanation of my thoughts and opinions, please continue watching after that. In summary, everything design-wise looks amazing, and all sounds for the weapons also sound amazing. The skins for the Hell Pods, Pelican ones, and the exosuits look awesome and make them easier to see, especially for the damn resupply that you have no clue where it went and now you can actually see it. The armor is great. Its fire reduction is very good, 70%, but it's not too overpowered. It seems balanced. I need to try it on Hellmire. The cookout shotgun really shines. Take the Punisher, barely reduce the stun, add some fire. It's great. It pushes back on enemies. It's very noticeable, and it does great against berserkers even, which is pretty nice. The Torture and Crisper are fun mini flamethrowers. The Torture seems a little bit lacking. If it just had just a tiny bit more of something, I don't know exactly what it is. I gotta test more. I think it'd be like perfect, but it's still a fun weapon to use, but bringing something else to like counter for it. The Crisper is really fun. It could have some utility if you're trying to balance off a class if you have a very precision style weapon, but it has very low ammo. I don't like that there is no grenades in this, but it's not the worst thing ever. I like the Fire Captain title that they added with also the emblem for your character. The Firebomb booster is okay. It's nothing great. It's something you bring for fun, or if you're bringing a strategy you can call in often, such as a expendable anti-tank, maybe even a commando or a turret. Overall, this is a better Warbond in my opinion. It's not the very best ever, but everything seems more thought out than some of the previous ones. All items also have a great look with a lot of design and flair and great colors. That's one thing I really seriously enjoy about this Warbond, is that it just looks good. Every design seems very focused. I would recommend this Warbond just for its looks alone, and like the skins, again the Hellpod skin, so you can actually see the resupply. The cookout is seriously a standout weapon as well, and if you like flamethrowers and that whole style, if you're trying to run some thematic fun build or whatever, and the fire armors as well, if you like playing on Hellmire a lot. I haven't got to try it on Hellmire, but that 70% reduction, it's very noticeable for when you do and don't have it. Firebomb boosters, okay, they're okay. It does some knockback and adds fire. It looks more impressive than it is, but it still does some damage. You want to bring it for fun, or if you have a stratagem you call in often, and that could also be like a turret or something to clear the area around it to make sure it's safe before it actually has time to activate. Or if you like calling down expendable anti-tanks, you could call it down on a behemoth, and if it doesn't kill it in one shot, then it will also set it on fire and have a small explosion. And also for you coming down in a hell pod, that blast can throw the enemies off of it and stun them just long enough so they aren't mid combo. Like a brood commander isn't going to be mid combo, so you actually have a chance to like jump away. It has this very small range. The blast looks visually big, but it's actually more like 5 to 8, maybe 10 meters of actual explosion and fire. The skins look really good. I don't really need to go into too much detail for that. It's kind of that simple. I like how they look, and this can also go into the armor a bit as well, and just the design for all this as a whole. The flame weapons look like flame weapons, and like they seem like the Torture seems bulky, and I like that. It reminds me a bit of like a Warhammer flamer. The Crisper looks great. All the armor has like the air tubes, so they're connected to oxygen or something, which would it makes sense. Any sort of fire protecting armor would have that, and I do enjoy that. The cookout, when I first used it, it seemed okay at first, but as I used it more and more, it got better and better, and I really like it for small to medium enemies. It honestly now really shines through as I've used it. It really like stands out from everything, I think. It's take the Punisher, barely reduce the stun, so it's not as good as the normal one, but it's still there. Add that fire, and it has a good pushback on the enemy, so you can push back like Hive Guard and Brood Commanders. It's nothing insane, but it's very noticeable still, and it does great against berserkers even. It doesn't stun them, they'll keep coming, but it does decent damage. Actually, I take that back. It might do a minor amount of stun, but still, it does a good amount of damage. If you aim for their head, one of the pellets will eventually get that headshot off to kill them quickly. I feel like it's some of the quickest I have killed berserkers is using the cookout. The Torture is a baby flamethrower, short range. It's, like I mentioned, a little bit like low damage. Some people are having issues with it too because it is shorter range. It's a flamethrower where they start attacking hunters, and if the hunters jump, they're not always dead. With a normal flamethrower, that could happen, but if you timed it right, it wouldn't. It has a decent amount of utility, a good support. It needs to have something. There's something missing from it. It needs a little bit more. Maybe it has like a jet stream secondary fire mode, or like a gel, or maybe you can add like this damage armor corrosive effect of like there's like an acid or something extra in there, like thermite paste. I don't know, something, but it's still really fun to use too. And it looks, like I mentioned, a Warhammer flamer. The fire armor, as I already mentioned a bunch of times, it looks fantastic, but it makes a noticeable difference. When I had it on at first, I didn't realize how much damage the fire hell pods were doing to me with that after burning effect. But then when I didn't have it on, I had different armor, I realized I kept nearly dying, and the fire armor was preventing me from dying because of that damage reduction. I really need to try it out more. This is like the first impressions of it, and I want to try on Hellmire and see how I can survive in one of the fire tornadoes. But overall, if you have people that really like fire, or if you're bringing the flamethrower and you like to jump back and nearly burn yourself a lot, I really do suggest bringing the fire armor, or if you're playing on those fire planets again. Talking about bots, all the fire stuff in general does actually okay with bots. People just instinctively don't think it does that great, but you can use fire quite a bit with it, especially against those scout walkers. So the Torch, like the flamethrower, is okay with devastators. It's better than you'd expect against infantry. It might take a little bit longer than you'd like compared to bugs, but it still does kill them relatively quick, and they're so slow they don't really get out of the flames easy either, so they can sit in it for longer. And again, scout walkers, the flame stuff is so great for scout walkers. This is where the crisper came in handy too, is if I didn't bring impact stone, I didn't want to waste it on them or run around them. The crisper has, I think, the shortest range out of the three of them, but it's still, they're all around the same. You could shoot right through that armor, and it's not like what was going on with the charger. Like, the flames wrap around and set the guy on the inside on fire. So if consider some sort of flame weapon for one person if you have an issue with the sentinels. I haven't dealt with the heavy, not sentinels, I've been around the Warhammer stuff too much, the scout walkers. I haven't tried it on the heavy scout walkers yet, but for the normal ones, they do pretty well. And mentioning the crisper for its size, it does pretty decent damage. I want to say it's equal to Torture, and it almost feels like a little bit more. I really like the sound design of its audio, and I'll bring that up again in a second. But continuing, I didn't get to try it on bugs yet, but with bots, it did kill them pretty decently. And I could see this having really good utility, potentially, an emergency weapon. Also, area denial, crowd control. You could do a double combo, like let's say I have a slugger or a breaker, and for priority targets like brood commanders, and then there's a bunch of scavengers and warriors, I can quickly torch the area, and the reload was pretty quick. So the crisper is definitely a fun weapon. I mean, it's a secondary. Secondaries can always only do so much. The revolver is still one of the highest damage weapons, I swear, in the game, but besides that fact, it is a fun weapon, especially if you want to bring a flame thrower sort of weapon without having to do a primary or a full stratagem slot. Just keep in mind, it only has 4 tanks, and they are very, very limited on how much you can get out of it, I want to say. I feel like it was equivalent to a quarter to half a tank of the normal flamethrower, or and that's like a whole reload, a whole canister. As I mentioned, for weapon sounds and designs, they are just perfect. The Torture is a mini flamethrower. It looks like the Warhammer Flamer and seems usable, and the crisper has this, like, besides its audio, as you like start shooting, has this like high-pitched squeal noise and like a whistle effect when it's just like it just cuts off, like you hear the valve closing, and I really like those effects. So the flamethrower definitely seems like it's a heavy version of all of them, and I want to try all 3 of them on one mission. But to continue back with what I was saying too, the flamethrower seems like a normal flamethrower. The Torture seems actually like the most like concentrated flame, like has the smallest one, but it's very, I don't want to say the longest range, but it kind of has that feeling of it, because it's not as wild feeling as a big flamethrower, or it actually is the crisper. The crisper's flame seems kind of sporadic and dangerous. Like there's less pressure behind it. Like, it's just as dangerous to you to use. The normal flamethrower doesn't really feel like that, but it feels like you're a dragon firing. The torture feels more like the one where you are shooting this jet of burning oil or something out of it instead, while the other ones feel more like gas. Going back to everything, if you watched the beginning, you already heard the summary. I really like this Warbond. This was a quick thoughts impressions on the Freedom of Flame Warbond. I don't have a whole bunch to say. I'll probably have more to say about it as I get to try more stuff out, and I didn't get to try everything out with like the bugs or the bots. But overall, I do like the Warbond. I do suggest it, and I'll probably talk about it more when I do my Escalation Freedom a week later update and see how I'm feeling about the update a week later and have a time to stew and all that. So let me know, are you going to get the Warbond? Are you not? Was this a flop of a Warbond? Was it decent? Was it good? If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks.